So you would recommend this movie to everyone?
All people. Actually, you should watch it on Christmas.
Oh, you could
Your
replace
family.
a Christmas Story with
Please replace a
Zombeavers.
Christmas Story with something.
Numbers are rolling. Things are happening. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the third episode of Models and Movies. I'm your host. And with me today, I have Sushii. Sushii, how do we find you online? You're a cosplay model, kind of? Mostly cosplay?
I'm a model that cosplays, yep.
A model that cosplays. Where do we find you?
On any social network, just look for Sushii Xhyvette. It's 2 eyes, because I have 2 eyes.
Get it?
Get it?
And that last part, it'll be on the bottom of the screen, so you'll see how to spell it and stuff like that. There will also be a link inside the description of the top 3 ways to find her, I guess, Instagram,
Twitter,
Facebook.
Facebook.
Today's movie that we reviewed is a Serbian film, and this is one of the best films of 2014, I think it was. I don't know when it came out, but that's not the movie we watched today. What movie did we watch today?
We watched Zombeavers.
Is that why you have a beaver on your shoulder?
That's why I have a beaver on my shoulder.
Cute. All right. Well, before we get into the movie, we're going to get into the beverage of the day. And what do you have over there, Sushii?
I have a woodchuck, because a woodchuck is what the beavers do.
Woodchuck cider. I guess that's just the plain old cider. Good for you.
So.
I have something called Hop Stupid, and the reason why I've chosen Hop Stupid is because this movie is
Hoppin' stupid.
stupid. All right, so normally I'm not a big fan of hoppy beers, but I make the sacrifice for the show.
For the love of art, he will get stupid.
Interesting.
Do you not cheers?
You're the first person who's ever actually joined me in the drinking portion of this review, so
Okay.
Cheers to you.
Oh, yeah.
This is everything I hate about hoppy beers. Okay, so good. All right, Zombeavers. This is a 2013 movie that was, I guess, crowdfunded, something like that.
I think they got funding from releasing previews,
Previews, like
on YouTube,
trailers.
asking
All right.
for funding.
I don't think that went so well because I don't know how good the funding was for this film. There
Enough
was
to
some
me.
questionable choices and situations that happened. So anyway, let's talk about the plot of Zombeavers. Sushii, would you like to maybe explain what the plot of this movie is?
Well, we join 2 people at the beginning. There's a really intricate plot. It actually comes around at the end,
Sure
too.
it does. Oh, yeah.
They thought this one through. So a car is
did not.
carrying nuclear waste, because that's how we travel, on an open truck with nuclear waste.
And generally you put it in charge of 2 stoners,
Yes.
okay, who are talking about getting hand jobs at Arby's or giving hand jobs at Arby's or some...
Gay sex.
Gay sex. I guess that's what
Very
it was.
nonchalantly.
Sure.
Which actually, the 2 actors in the beginning, I think, funded most of the movie.
I'm going to check on that and make sure, but she said it, so it's probably true.
Totally.
Yeah.
If it's not, it will be.
So they see a deer.
They see a deer.
Well, one of them sees a deer. The other one sees it after smashing into it and turning it into digital paste.
Digital road smear.
Gross. Yeah. Okay. So and then one of their toxic sludge things falls out, or it gets launched out of the truck and then rolls.
Just one.
Just one rolls down a hill and into the river, and then eventually ends up after some really crappy main titles resting in front of a dam. Then what happens?
Then it suddenly starts spraying on the dam.
I don't really understand how that whole thing happened.
No puncture wounds. Nothing.
Just sort of. Because the script said now is the time for that effect to happen, and then it happened.
Yep.
So we have to assume that this toxic sludge had something to do with turning the beavers into zombie beavers. Anyway, that's to get the movie going. Let's find out what happens through the rest of the shitty movie. What happens?
I think we joined 3 high school.
College. There you go.
College students.
Yes.
With high school problems.
Well, college really is just an extension of high school. I mean, if you don't grow up, and you really don't grow up until you're 20. How old are you? You're not 25 yet, are you?
I'm over 21.
Okay, so then you're grown up. You understand this is how life is and this is how life works. So this movie is silly to you because those characters are idiots with their problems, which are so, grand. Anyway, so yeah, the 3 girls go to a cabin for girls' weekend out.
Girls only. No digital anything.
Correct.
No Wi-Fi.
And the slut immediately gets topless.
Immediately.
Mm-hmm. The plot, because the plot is stupid. The Zombeavers, and then they attack people, and then people become zombie beavers. But let's...
Not by sludge.
Not by
Somehow,
sludge. No,
they're still becoming zombies.
Well, I think that's the underlying tone in any zombie-type movie, is that if you get bit or scratched by a zombie, you become...
If it started out with, like, a disease, then yeah. But, like, most zombie movies where it's sludge, they just eat your brains.
That's true.
And then dead people come back to life. It's not, you don't catch a disease from them.
So what was this? This was
anything and everything zombie.
This was, we need to figure out how to make these humans turn into zombie beaver human hybrid weirdos. Yes. So just go with it. That's pretty much what happened. So we're not going to spoil the ending just yet, but we are going to talk about some of the characters, because the characters are probably some of the most one-dimensional, tropic, just terribly written, terribly acted. You know what? I'm actually going to say that I think that some of the acting in this was good. I do believe that the acting for the girl character Jen. Jen is the blonde who is kind of the goody-goody. She's the one who's been hurt by her boyfriend by getting a picture through Facebook, I think. They said Facebook. Friend of a friend of her boyfriend macking on some other girl at a party. She's mad. She doesn't want to be with him anymore, so she's sad. So you figure this is going to be the girl who is going to be the hero at the end of the film, and you would be wrong.
She's the first one to figure out something's wrong with those beavers.
Those things out there, they're not beavers.
She's very smart.
Mm-hmm. Nobody listens to her.
And she has the most amazing booty shorts. I believe this film rated the wardrobe department of sleepaway camp, the boys' sleepaway camp outfits, and they put them on the girls, the way things are supposed to be. But yeah, so lots of butt cheeks hanging out of the bottom of shorts, and you wouldn't know anything about that. I mean, you don't do that kind of modeling.
Butt cheeks? Hanging out the bottom of shorts? Like these?
Moving on. So we'll talk about Zoe. Zoe is the whore of the trio of girls, and she's
a smart ass.
She's a smart ass.
The whore.
Would you rather watch your mom get murdered by your daddy, or get raped by your daddy while your mom had to watch?
She's dating the ugliest guy there, really, so she obviously loves somebody.
Or she's just really into the sex, and he
won't eat her out. I don't think she's into the sex.
That's true. There is a running joke that he doesn't go down on her. You know what? There's a lot of beaver jokes in this film.
So many beaver jokes.
There's even a point in the film where somebody said, "Can we cut it out with the beaver jokes?"
Because that'd be the only beaver he's getting this weekend.
Can we please stop with the beaver jokes?
Why did the beaver cross the road?
And
we don't.
I agreed. I think it was time. No more beaver jokes, but.
We were only halfway through the movie.
We were halfway through the movie at that point. And then there's Mary, who is the nerd girl who wears the glasses, and that's how you know she's the nerd girl.
She knows about beavers.
She does. She knows a little bit about beavers. She talked about how they build dams, and then that's not where they live.
They don't live in the dams?
They live in the lodge. And I didn't even know this. I didn't know that beavers built lodges to live in. So that's a thing that happened. Anyway, so all right. So let's talk about the boys now. And I didn't really get the boys' names except for Tommy. Tommy is the boy that cheated on...
No. Tommy was the blonde jock, the one who could actually hold the bat correctly.
Oh, he's a surfer. Okay. Oh, yeah. There was a great scene. There was a great scene where one of the guys went in to try and beat a Zombeaver. They didn't know they were Zombeavers at that time, but he went in to beat a beaver to death, and he was holding a bat, and well, you're seeing right now how he's holding the bat, and that's not how you hold a bat. And Sushii actually said that in the middle of the film. She was like, that's not how you hold a bat. And I don't know, did you used to play baseball?
I mean, I've seen baseball.
You've seen baseball. Okay, so that's I guess that's my point, is that if you have seen a baseball game, you know that's not how you hold a bat. Anyway, Surfer Boy Tommy could hold the bat correctly. Who was the pussy guy?
I don't remember his name.
He's forgettable. But first of all, he could not move a TV. And then he couldn't figure out that bats cannot remove nails from boards.
Right. And
he also could not hold a bat.
And he couldn't hammer.
Oh, that's right. He hit his thumb with a hammer. He was a complete doofus.
And didn't he duct tape a couch to a window?
Yes. In their haste, to barricade themselves inside this cabin, they duct taped a couch to the wall in front of a window because duct tape.
Duct tape solves every problem.
That seems like the truth. Moving on, there was Shaggy, and that's the only thing I can think of his name is, because...
It's Buck.
Buck? Really? Buck?
His name was Buck, and he likes to fuck.
Ah, now it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Not really. Anyway, so Buck was the guy who wore the hat the entire time. He reminded me very much of Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo movies, but he reminded you of somebody else.
That guy from Half Baked? The baked one?
Okay, well done.
One in the tie-dye t-shirt, yeah. He looked like he could be his son.
Now, you saw Half Baked. Have you ever seen the stoner movie with Matthew McConaughey in it?
You mean all his movies?
All right. All right, we're going to move on. We still need to talk about Smith, because Smith is the other main character in this film.
Is that the...
This is the Grizzly Adams guy.
Yeah, yes. That guy was the best.
So we meet Smith when he fires a shotgun to scare away the bear that was going to eat the three girls. One was topless, and they were in their bathing suits.
She had to hide her boobs from the bears. From the bear.
Just the one bear.
The one bear. The naked bear, who obviously was going to rape them.
Well, I would think it would be a much sillier movie if the bear was wearing clothing. It's like, hey, this bear escaped from the zoo or the circus.
But why is the first thing she did was, shit, there's a bear.
If you're topless and you're if you're confronted by a bear, what would you do?
Run.
Oh. So writers, when you're writing films and you have a topless actress,
make her run.
Make her run away from danger, not
we would
just
all
cover her
enjoy
boobs.
That.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was a little disappointed by the level of nudity in this film, because I figured that
there'd be more.
I thought there'd be more.
I did too.
There were 3 women in the film. Although I gotta say, this had almost no people in it. There were literally 9 people. 11 if you count the 2 stoner boys that drove the truck. But
the parent.
the 2 parents,
the neighbors,
and then the 6, Grizzly Adams, and then the 2 guys driving the truck.
True.
Those are the only humans in this whole movie.
I think they spent all the money on the one topless chick.
I would. I don't know. I don't know how hard it is to get a topless woman who doesn't have any acting credits to her name to put on a terrible Southern accent and say, "Hey, do you want to be in the movie? You can be in this movie for what, $40,000? Okay, whatever, you're in, but you got to show your boobs 8 times."
How come there was no beaver in Zombeavers?
We were very close to seeing a lot of. There was a lot of covered beaver.
There was a lot of attack on the beaver.
There was
a beaver pounding scene.
Oh my God, there was. They beat the shit out of that beaver. But there was a couple scenes or at least one scene where Jen was on a kitchen centerpiece or something. Island. Thank you, island. And widespread legs open, and you're seeing it right now. And the beaver is about to get her, so it's like beaver on beaver action.
Just like the cover.
Just like, yeah. So I'll show the actual poster to the movie, right? That's what's going on right here. And so that movie poster actually lives out in the film. So good job, I guess. I don't know. All right. So Smith was a great character. He was well written, and I think the actor did a pretty good job. I believe that more than 50% of this movie was just ad-libbed.
I do too.
You don't have to wear that guy the whole time, by the way.
He's fun.
All right, you got it. Yeah, I fully believe that most of their lines were ad-libbed, because I think there were a few talented actors in this film, and at the end of the film there's some outtakes and stuff like that, alternate takes or whatever.
It looked like they were all friends,
yeah,
so they could.
They seemed like they were having a good time.
Yeah.
All right, so is that it for the characters? Have we done all the characters? There's two old people who live in the next cabin, but they're boring, and they just turn into Zombeaver people, and that's it.
They have a freaky daughter that we never see.
Yeah, that would have been a great side thing for that freaky daughter to show up with a questionably sexual friend. That would have been
ugly as sin.
That would have been okay. All right, so
what about Smith?
What about
can't tell
Smith?
if he's like a pervert or not, because he
no,
says
he's
perverted
a pervert.
thing.
He's a pervert.
And then he tells her to cover up every time.
Have you ever met these ultra-conservative people? They're freaks. Total
I live
freaks.
in Texas.
Yeah, there you go. Total freaks. So let's talk about the quality of the film.
Quality.
I'm going to give the quality of the film some pretty high marks, because this is a real film made with real equipment in modern times, and they didn't just use like iPhone footage or found footage or bullshit like that. They used like probably Alexa or Red cameras, and the sound was terrific. You could hear everything that they were saying. So
yeah, sound effects are great.
Yeah, people were...
They weren't too loud.
Sound effects were great. I'm going to now play for you something that we both cracked up in, and that was a Zombeaver running across the screen, making a ridiculous noise, and we both cracked up.
It's okay, baby.
Yeah, so that happened, and... but I will say the music was pretty good. The sound effects were well done, and the music made sense. It wasn't just like hard, well, except for that one song they were playing in the car where everybody was like, "Turn it off, that's crap."
Turn that music off, Mary.
You seriously like this? You seriously don't?
Come here, don't listen.
I think it was their
What was
attempt to techno.
I think it was their attempt to make fun of techno, to be honest.
That too, or young generation's music.
Yeah, maybe. Because that was terrible music. Anyway, the rest of the music of the film was pretty good. It rose when it should have rose. It lulled when it should have lulled. And sound effects were good. So I think the quality of the film was actually pretty good.
It was definitely a B movie where they actually had like friends who knew how to make movies.
No, I agree.
Like,
I bet you every one of those actors got all of their friends to be PAs or boom operators or whatever, and they just did what they could do. But I totally believe that in this day and age, you don't have any excuses for bad quality in your films. I'm using some pretty shitty equipment right now, but we're coming through crisp and clean. You can hear us well, and everything is in focus. So there's no excuse these days to making a terrible film based on the equipment that you can either rent or pick up very cheaply. That's just... Sorry, I talk. Anyway, all right. So let's... boy, we're just blazing right through this. So let's talk about... Oh, shit. Let's talk about the special effects.
Special.
No.
I've never seen anyone digitally put in dog pee before in my entire...
All right, so...
The dog will pee. He will pee for you.
Full disclosure, I'm a photographer, and a lot of times when I'm doing shoots and stuff like that, I have in my mind what the finished photograph to look like. And sometimes it's just not feasible to use like practical effects to do things. And what you're going to see is when I shoot Sushii later, she's going to have a lot of blood on her, and I'm not actually going to throw blood on her. These are going to be digital effects that I do in the photos, because it's, I don't want to throw a bunch of blood on her because it's going to stain her clothing, it's going to stain her skin, stuff like that. It's just much easier. Yeah, that's good hair too. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's just much easier and cheaper, really, to do it digitally. However, when you're doing it in a film and moving pictures, you can spot that shit. And it was all over this film from the very beginning when they hit that deer.
Yeah, on a road where they could have totally just had blood on the road.
They could have.
Or hit something that would splatter blood.
And that would have looked good, but they chose not to save a couple of dollars, a little bit of time doing the scene and stuff like that, and they just said,
maybe they had more money.
Maybe
and they're like, where can we put more digital effects?
Maybe they made money on this film. I don't know what's going on, but yes, just bad digital effects. And one of the big ones that we saw was the dog peeing on the floor of the cabin.
They didn't even make a puddle. They just had pee coming out.
It was embarrassingly bad, the digital effects that they did for this film. And one of the things that we both noticed was when Shaggy got his foot bitten off by one of the Zombeavers, they did a green screen wrap of his foot, and they did the scene pretty well, except unfortunately the actor had no idea how to act with knowing that his foot was not supposed to be there. And what you saw was he propped his foot up onto the actual deck that he was laying on, and you could see very definitively that his leg wasn't moving because his foot is physically there and wasn't moving around. I'm sorry, I'll just move on.
So it was just a stump hanging in air.
Not moving at all, which it would be if it was
He's
attached.
not lifting his stump. He's
exactly.
He's kneeling on it, but there's no foot.
Bad. What else with that? So let's talk about the puppet effects. So the puppets were
amazing,
slightly better than that thing hanging on your shoulder. Slightly better.
Well, the one puppet cut in half that was jigsawing to itself.
That was pretty good.
We were trying to find the hand. They did pretty good at hiding him.
God. I will say that the human special effects were pretty good. As silly as they were, and as stupid as they looked, they were still convincingly like, oh, this is a f***ed up human being. It's not just like a mask.
Yeah, the pretty girl for going full on zombie.
Oh, Jen, yeah, man.
And she even had drool coming out of her mouth.
Oh,
the fact that she did that, I give her props, because
but the funniest part,
it's so hard to get a model to do that.
The funniest part was when she was twerking her ass and making her big beaver tail hit the ground. That was funny. I mean, that was really actually pretty funny. Yeah, so that worked out pretty well. What else was going on?
And all the teeth falling out.
Oh, that
was... Give her the 2 buck teeth.
What is it about teeth that people get all cringy about? Like I think people have a lot of dreams where their teeth fall out, and they get really weird when... especially in movies like Human Centipede, when the guy was knocking the people's teeth out. I mean, that's a big... I think people get really...
It's a control factor, I think.
Maybe. It's this weird thing that people get so squeamish about their teeth getting knocked out. So one of the other cool special effects was when the beavers were jumping in the air about to attack, and then they would get shot in midair and fly back the other way.
No, they get shot from the side, but fly backwards.
It really, what I saw, and this is how I think they did it, was some guy was holding a beaver puppet by a string above and like putting it this way, but there was another string and somebody just yanked it.
Yeah.
It just looked bad. It looked terrible.
He actually froze in air coming after the girl.
It's not, yeah, come on, guys. You can do better. You can do better than this. Yeah, that was at 47:30. I have here the flying beaver shot.
The flying
Hi-ya!
The Hinden beaver.
Oh, the humanity. All right, so that's enough for special effects. I can't take any more. So, let's talk about, does this movie work?
It worked for me. I've seen it 5 times now.
5 times this girl has seen this movie.
It needs to be seen.
Now, when you say you've seen it 5 times, would you say that You've forced people to sit down with you and watch it. Maybe drinking some beer, maybe smoking some things, maybe under some sort of influence to enjoy the film other than just sitting by yourself and watching it.
The first time I watched it by myself.
Me too.
Sober.
Me too.
In the middle of the day.
I actually went to the night for that one. I didn't want to ruin all things, but.
And then I had to watch it right after that when my friend got home because he had to see it. And I had to drink during it.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And then I got back
so
from
twice
my
in
trip.
one day. Twice in one day. Okay.
Then I got back from my trip and I had to show other people.
Okay.
And the only way to show them is to watch it with them.
Well, of course. Yeah. And this movie was made to be a little silly. It was made to be a group of friends film where you drink and then you enjoy
where
things
they had
and
more
laugh.
fun doing it than it actually became a good movie. Yeah.
So I guess the only problem I have is when filmmakers attempt to become a cult classic. So Rocky Horror Picture Show was a terrible movie that became a phenomenon.
It was a terrible play.
Was it a play? That became a movie?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It started out as a play.
Oh.
And it got so big that they decided to make a movie on it, and they picked the perfect actor to
Tim
become
Curry. Okay.
And then it just blew up.
Huh. Well, yeah. So that became a cult classic, even though it was a bad film. But what I don't like is when films try to become that.
Right. You have to magically become.
They sell it. This is going to be the next, Evil Dead 2, and you're just like, I don't know, man. I mean, that stuff happens organically. You don't try to make one of the worst films ever. Troll 2. You don't try to make one of the worst films ever. It just happens, and then people label it worst film ever and party movie and all that stuff. You can't try to do it, and I think that's what this movie's trying. They tried to be a bad movie that everybody was going to laugh at, and it works for you. And your friends. And I think it would work for me and my friends, except for the fact that it's not a good movie. It's just not... It's fun, but it's...
It's worth a view.
Oh, no. I'm going to say it's totally worth you and your friends sitting down and watching with, enough
I see what you're saying. They did have every element to make it.
Stupid beer. Don't drink this, though. This is not very good.
Oh, fun drinking game. Every time you see a Zombeaver, you have to take a shot.
Do you want to try that? Because I'm not...
I don't like hops either.
Okay, then don't try it. Yeah, don't try it. It's very hoppy.
Oh, that is horrible.
Yeah, right.
It's a horrible beer.
Yep, sorry. So...
horrible movie, horrible.
The next movie I picked to do is going to be based on a good beer that I can get for it. So it has nothing to do with if the movie's going to be good or bad. It's just going to be whether the beer is going to be good or bad. Anyway, so I'm sorry.
Why don't you just do good beer, bad movie?
You. Now somebody else is going to do that series because that's a much better idea than models in movies. So I did write down here that, what was the guy's name? Smith. Smith basically looks like Terry Bradshaw. I don't know what that means. Anyway. So the last thing that we're I'm sorry, we have to go back a little bit to the special effects version portion of this and talk about the Zombeaver whack-a-mole. What you're seeing right now is the silliest scene ever. So these Zombeavers are coming up out of the floor.
They don't even bother to move the boards or anything.
Digitally. And they're whacking them with, what, a bat and an axe and something?
A hammer, I think.
Hammer? Okay, well,
One of them was using a hammer.
it was awful. But, cool, whatevs.
What about the face stabbing?
The face stabbing?
The puppets coming through the window.
Oh!
And they're just like,
That was funny.
Best attack ever. One of them's using a cleaver.
Look.
That has a dull front.
Look. There's a lot to like in this film. Some of it is very funny and it's enjoyable. I mean, it's definitely worth watching.
Actually, I would love to hear some Easter eggs if anyone knows any.
So that is the big. I only wrote two pages of notes. This movie sucked. I've got nothing. Anyway,
You wanted this to be short.
It's short. At the very end of the movie, a bee is on the beaver. We're giving everything away, but a bee is on the beaver.
Well, I didn't even know to watch the end. So.
Well, who watches after the credits since Marvel?
Who watches
movies?
anything? Oh, best thing about the credits. The Richard Cheese kind of music song that they wrote for Zombeavers. You didn't hear that?
I didn't hear that.
They're
No.
seriously singing Zombeavers.
Oh shit! Damn it! I had to go to the bathroom. I missed all the music for the credits. Anyway, at the very end, Bee lands on one of the dead Zombeavers and then goes back to the hive, and that's
Because bees eat blood. They circle
They
dead
do?
animals.
I didn't know those were bees. I thought those were always flies or
Why wouldn't
something.
it be a fly? Zomflies.
Zomflies. Zombies.
Fly bees.
Zombies.
Ees.
Thank you. Okay, so the last thing. Do I have anything else to talk about? No, nothing. The last thing that we talk about on this thing is Sushii. How many alcoholic beverages do you believe this movie requires to enjoy?
Like I said, a shot every beaver.
Isn't
Isn't there a scene that there's like 12 beavers?
You would be dead by the end.
So are all the characters.
Oh, big spoiler, by the way.
No one survives.
Nobody lives except those two idiots driving the truck.
They see her.
Now they do.
They do.
Although, wait a minute. You never actually see them hit her. It's just assumed that they hit her.
You hear it.
You hear? Well,
true.
do you hear it?
Did they have enough money to show her die?
No, of course not. That would have been way more digital editing than they had money for. So we don't know if she's dead or just maimed for life.
We'll see in Zombies.
We'll see in Zombeavers 2.
Or Zombeaver 2.
That should never happen. That should never
Please
ever happen.
happen.
No, I want a serious answer from you. I'm not buying that bullshit of you have to be dead to enjoy this movie. So how many drinks do you believe to truly enjoy this movie? And it can be anywhere from 0 to
I mean,
whatever.
I watched it sober and I was pretty happy. But I would admit you probably want about 4 beers.
You think 4?
Yeah, one before the movie starts.
Okay.
Because the funniest scene is that little back and forth.
That was funny. And that's something you can enjoy without being, any kind of drunk. And I'm going to say that I had 2 beverages through the movie, and that wasn't enough. I'm going to go slightly higher than you. I'm going to say 5. And I think that
You're gonna go one more than me.
I'm going to go one more than you. I think you should have 3 before you even start. I truly believe that. 3 before you start, because it gets stupid pretty fast. And
Yeah, they cut right to the stupid.
Oh yeah. So 3, and then you just 2 through the movie to ride your buzz through it. And I think it's an
Don't stop the buzz.
Thank you. It's an enjoyable film. It really is. I truly do believe that you can enjoy this movie completely sober, because I watched it completely sober, and there was some level of snickering or whatever, because I could appreciate that I saw what they were trying to do,
Right.
and they were actually pretty effective at doing it. They wanted to make a silly, funny horror film in the vein of Evil Dead 2, and so you would recommend this movie to everyone?
All people. Actually, you should watch it on Christmas.
Oh, you could
your
replace
family.
A Christmas Story with
Please replace a Christmas
Zombeavers
story with something.
or Elf.
I don't know. We can keep Elf.
I like Elf. Elf is funny. You're an angry elf. That has been our review of Zombeavers. Sushii, I want to thank you very, very, very much for coming and doing this for me.
My pleasure.
And again, if people want to find you, I am putting the thing right here on this screen, but you will also say that they can find you on any social media at
Sushii Xhyvette.
There
I'm the
you
only
go.
Sushii Xhyvette. Just
That is true. You spell your name very strangely.
I do.
And I actually challenged you that was not your real name, but it kind of is, isn't it?
It totally is.
And why is that? You are of Hawaiian descent.
I am not.
I made that up.
I am a Pacific Islander.
Yes.
I'm Filipino.
Oh, did you tell me that before?
Probably.
I probably forgot it. Well, I certainly forgot it because I don't remember it now, but there you go. So what you saw in the beginning when I introduced her. That was our one and only shoot. We don't really even know each other all that well. And
no, we had a shoot.
But that's what I mean. We had a shoot.
No, before that.
No, we didn't.
Zombies.
Never.
We totally did.
Yeah, that's true. She was like 4 years ago. We did a weird zombie shoot.
Axe or something. Yeah.
Zombie repellent. Axe zombie spray. I'll actually.
Plus a music video.
Oh my God.
To a really great band.
They were awful.
Great band.
They didn't even know their own song.
They didn't.
That was so hard.
I'm like, you have, 4 professional models that you could have tagged, which made your video go everywhere, but you didn't even show us the damn video.
I'll show it to you. It's not good.
No, I saw it.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, so I will put some links to some of the things that Sushii and I have done in the past. And what you're seeing right now is the photos that we've done immediately following this review. And she's a trooper. She just pounded that hard cider away. So that should be interesting. And we did something kind of inspired by Zombeavers, and I hope you like it. And I hope you subscribe to the channel. Well, I'm trying to build it. I'm trying to make it something big. Share it with people that you know. Share it with your mom. And until next time.
Love you.
Until next time. This is Sushii and the Beaver saying goodnight. And I'll see you next time. That was awesome.
Filthy hairy beavers.